We start in the Middle East, where security forces in southern Israel have moved to a war footing to combat a surprise attack by the Palestinian militant group Hamas, the biggest in recent years. Thousands of rockets have been launched into Israel from Gaza, and dozens of militants appear to have entered southern Israel. Here's what we know so far. The rocket attacks have struck Tel Aviv and areas that surround Gaza. Air raid sirens have also sounded in several other towns. At least one person is reported to have been killed so far. The town of Ashkelon has seen major explosions. Details of Palestinian incursions are unclear, but gunmen have been reported in towns near the Gaza border, and Israelis have been warned to stay inside. Hamas military commander Mohammed Deif announced the start of the operation in a broadcast on Hamas media, calling on Palestinians everywhere to fight. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is holding an emergency meeting, and the military says it's striking targets in Gaza in response. There are Palestinian reports of Israeli soldiers being captured. Let me bring you these latest pictures from Gaza. They're showing Hamas militants celebrating and posing for pictures on what is said to be an Israeli army tank. Palestinian media are reporting that a number of Israelis have been taken captive by fighters. The footage also shows what appears to be an Israeli military vehicle captured by the militants. Our Middle East correspondent Yolan Nel is in Jerusalem and told us the size of the attacks is unprecedented.
In all my years of covering these rounds of violence, we haven't seen an infiltration on this scale. Really, it does seem from the videos that are circulating that there are perhaps dozens of militants who have crossed from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel. You've got unverified TV images that show them on motorbikes, in pickup trucks, even by a hang glider. Now, unconfirmed reports from Gaza are also saying that Israelis had taken back into the Palestinian enclave some Israelis, holding them captured, perhaps several soldiers. We're not able to verify that at the moment, but that would be a very worrying development indeed for Israelis. That brings back memories of what happened to Gilad Shalit, the soldier who was captured in a cross-border raid by Hamas militants back in 2006 and was held until 2011. Now, all of this looks extremely well planned by Hamas's military wing. Now, you can see in some of the videos that there are militants now who are filming themselves close to Israeli homes, that they may have taken some of those homes over. There are also videos filmed by Israelis where you can see people are in the street shooting, and these people say they can hear Arabic outside their windows.
That was Yolan Nel in Jerusalem. Well, for more on this, let's cross live now to the BBC's international editor, Jeremy Bowen, who's currently live in Kiev in Ukraine. Jeremy, you've covered this story, the conflict between Israel and Gaza, for many years. Just how significant are today's events?
This is extremely significant. In all the years that Hamas have been in control of Gaza, more than 15, they have never done anything like this. They have never launched a surprise attack on a number of different locations. Israeli security officials said an hour or so ago that there were 21 separate incidents going on. There's a lot of video circulating, not yet verified by the BBC, showing bodies of Israeli soldiers, some of whom were clearly surprised in their bunks even by the attackers. No one was expecting Hamas to do anything like this. Tension has been rising very strongly between Palestinians and Israelis. There's been a lot of violence in the West Bank, which is the territory that goes from Jerusalem towards the Jordan River, which has been occupied by Israel since 1967. That has been the focus now for months and months, and there's been a lot of killing and violence there, but nothing in comparison out of Gaza. So I think now the Israelis are using very strong language. They say they're in a state of war, they've been attacked. They've called up reservists. They're having this emergency meeting of their security cabinet. And I think it is highly likely that once the Israelis make their plans, that they will probably mount an incursion into Gaza. This thing is likely to escalate.
And Jeremy, the big question for our viewers will be why now? Because this seems to be a coordinated attack that would have taken a lot of planning as well. Why do you think Hamas is doing this today?
Well, they've called it something like Operation Jerusalem Flood. There's been tension in Jerusalem during the recent Jewish holiday, nothing on the scale that we've seen before, where there were Palestinians being pushed out by force out of the mosque there, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the third holiest site in the world for Muslims, and it's also for Jews the site of the ancient Jewish temple, and therefore venerated by them. It's the most single contested piece of ground really in the entire Middle East. And there have been some incidents there. Jews have been praying on the what they know as the Temple Mount, which is something which is, it doesn't sound much, but it's considered to be highly inflammatory. And I think it comes as a culmination of these growing months of tension between Palestinians and Israelis in Jerusalem, in the West Bank, and now Hamas have decided to move. There's also a symbolic anniversary, and in the Middle East, anniversaries are quite a big deal. It's the 50th anniversary at the moment of the surprise attack in 1973 by Syria and Egypt, which resulted in a Middle East war lasting almost a month, where it was a close-run thing, and Israelis I've spoken to today are calling this Prime Minister Netanyahu's Yom Kippur surprise, when Israel was taken by surprise 50 years ago. And, you know, it could well be that the Hamas planners thought, let's try and do something like that again.
Thank you very much. That's our international editor, Jeremy Bowen, and we look forward to speaking to you throughout the day here on BBC News.